All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the live Inner Circle pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning session, Benny Allen, and I am definitely happy and grateful for all of you being here with me this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in this amazing Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. Quick technical check. If everybody can hear me loud and clear, you're all ready to go. Drop me a one in the chat, and we can get this session started for this morning. Carolyn, I see you. Beneath. All right. All right. We got some ones coming through. I appreciate it. Okay. So just a brief reminder for this week. I am going to handle the morning session. Ryan is out of town enjoying a well-deserved vacation with his family. So we will not have the evening session this week, only the morning pre-New York session. And then I'll be getting things updated in the Discord as well. So just want to make sure that we're all clear on that. And I know Ryan has sent out an email communication also regarding that. So let's jump out, and we've got some action going on already this week on the fundamental front. So we look at trading economics. UK wage growth hits record high. My goodness, right? So man, average wages excluding bonus in the UK increased 7.8% year on year in Q2, the most on record and way above forecast of 7.4%. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate edged higher to 4.2, the highest since 2021, and the number of job vacancies fell by 66,000, right? So we can click over to the Forex Factory, and we can see exactly what they're talking about. Okay, so on the wage front, somebody tell me this morning, chime in on the wage front. So we've got, as they say, UK growth hits record high. So how might that, somebody tell me, how might that impact the currency? Is that positive or negative for the pound? Carolyn, positive, positive, positive. Okay. So we think that's positive for the pound. Why? Like what do we think big picture? Why is that positive? Inflation. Yep. Yep. So we'll definitely so it could definitely it have a positive impact on the pound because of the fact of inflation and the fact that right we when we think of monetary policy and central banks, so it starts to increase the chances that we'll see at least a 25 basis point increase in September during the Bank of England's next meeting. And then you even start to get that speculation of possibly 50 basis points, even though the percentages, the chance of that happening is lower, right? You start to get some of that speculation creep in, but at least 25 basis points. I don't think, we'll see 50 because we see that the unemployment rate edged higher, 4.2%, the highest since 2021, and the number of job vacancies fell. Okay, so that makes the data sort of mixed, but the stickiest number is that 7.8% year on year in regards to the wages. So that's positive for the pound. We see China industrial output growth below forecast. Okay, so if we look at this, we know that the Chinese economy, right, has had an issue getting going. So we can see that industrial growth in July, so it pretty much moderated. And you got a lot of key sectors in here, with kind of having a slowdown. So manufacturing 3.9 versus 4.8, mining 1.3 versus 1.5. Looking at specific industries, output growth eased in various sectors, man. Metal smelting 8.9%, 9.1 versus 9.1%. So we're seeing a slowdown in a lot of different sectors. Chinese economy, not good in regards to investor sentiment. We know that that can have a negative impact on the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar as well. You know, not as heavy an impact on the New Zealand dollar, but still an impact nonetheless. And we know we continue for the most part to get downside pressure on the Australian dollar as a result. So we'll continue to watch that. They just can't seem to get things going over there. And then we see Japan GDP growth exceeds forecast. Let me check on this real quick here. Advanced GDP 1.5% beat market expectations. So that's good for exports, but we see here that it says meantime government spending remains sluggish. So you got some domestic issues there. So you've got issues with let me see here. Remains sluggish. Capital expenditure was flat, growing. However, private sector consumption accounts for more than half of the economy fell after growing in the prior 2 quarters. So, yep. So you've got government spending remaining tight and sluggish, and then you also have domestic spending. It should be. So you got some contraction domestically. So with that, so even though that Q over Q number looks good, I still would say this really doesn't do anything for the yen, the Japanese yen. So we still maintain our long positions on a lot of those yen crosses. Okay. We may see some correction. You know, it's getting prices are getting pretty high. We may see that yen correct a bit, but overall still long on the yen crosses based on this report here. Okay, so mixed data, exports decent, but domestically still having some issues with spending, with consumer spending. So we'll continue to keep an eye on the Japanese yen. And then here with the dollar, right? We're pushing pretty high again. Let me see something real quick. Let me reset this. Not logged in. I was over on TradingView looking at the yield this morning, and the US 10-year is up to 4.23%. That makes that dollar attractive, right? So you can see we just took out a high here, and we're at 4.23% on the 10-year yield. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. 4%, over 4% on the 10-year. So that's positive for the DXY. If we come here and we take a look at the DXY, we can see we talked about it this weekend, had a pretty good discussion on the dollar this weekend, pushing back up, right, towards the top of that range. Okay, we can see right now it's kind of neutral there, right? Turning a little bit bearish on the dollar. But what we have to watch out for is today, not only do we have Canadian CPI coming out, that's going to be huge for the Canadian dollar, but then we also have Empire State Manufacturing Index and retail sales for the United States. That retail sales number is going to be important. What are consumers doing? Are we still spending here in the United States, or are we showing some signs of contraction, which could create a sell-off in the dollar if that number comes through below forecast? So we'll continue to watch that. So, but in the meantime, that dollar has been pushing pretty strong and it's tailing off a little bit here, right? So my concern is that we are moving into some areas where that DXY is getting pretty expensive. And so maybe we see a correction here. So it may be temporary, but we shall see on that end. Let me see. The more money the country says it makes, it causes governments to increase interest rates to keep being able to. Yeah. Oh well, not necessarily, Carolyn. in regards to keeping people from being able to get ahead, right? They have to keep inflation under control, because you definitely will never get ahead if inflation just blows everything out of the water. You have to get inflation back, because you have to have price stability, right? So they have to do it. So yes, what they look for is maybe we have to have temporary pain in order for us to have long-term prosperity. Okay, so it's just like how the market moves in waves, right? Even when you're in the uptrend, price corrects, and then we continue to move higher. It's too high, the higher levels. But you do not want to have inflation destroy the value of your currency. All right. So you always hear the story about, hey, well, back in the day, you know, uh, bread was a quarter, and now it's this, now it's three, now it's $4, right? That's inflation at work. Okay, so the central bank, right? The main thing that they have to do is to maintain price stability, right? Reese, close all my EU and GU sales, waiting for the DXY to break 103.50. Yeah, I posted that chart last night. I took a small position on that EU to the upside. It broke the trend line. But an inverted crown within the range. Yeah, yep, potentially, Jeremy. But I took a small position on that EU. The other EU crosses are finding support, right? Are finding support, and the euro is pushing pretty strong against them. Not necessarily anything domestically, but the eurozone. I guess there's, what we say, German investor morale improves, right? That's good for the eurozone. But the other crosses are finding support. The Euro USD play is strictly, to me, taking the euro to the long side as we do the dollar weakness, right? Some correcting in the dollar is what I'm thinking, but you never know for sure. But I did take a small EU position, and it's moving to the positive right now. But we'll see, right? It could just start to move sideways. You never know. Some tough areas in the market right now to navigate. Of course, that's why risk management is always key, but definitely during these times. But that's not a bad idea to close your EU and GU sales and just wait. So you want to see it break the yearly open at 103.50. That's not a bad plan at all. Jeremy, definitely could be headed towards an inverted crown if it decides to start, shorting and selling off. So we shall see on that. But a lot of things going on the fundamental front. Of course, again, remember CAD data coming out, CPI data, which is very, very important, inflationary measure. And then we've got core retail sales, overall month-over-month retail sales, and Empire State Manufacturing Index numbers coming out. So let's continue to watch and see how that goes for the dollar today. Any questions on the fundamentals? I know I took a lot of time on that, but I want to start to make sure that we get a sound understanding of how this market moves. Okay. All right. So that's the DXY. Okay, here we go. So hold on, I got my tools everywhere, all over the place, everybody. So all right. So that's the DXY. I want to take a look at these pound pairs because I know I need to get back and look at this pound Aussie. I drew that set up, and it definitely chased that weekly D extension. We were talking about that on Saturday, how it might move up higher in the zone, and we came right into this D extension. So that's spot on there. And here we are moving into, so here's our weekly D extension. Here's our daily fib. Now we've got a 50% pullback on that. Our stochastic is in the sell zone. We're in the 118, 127 zone. So we're looking for on this lower time frame on this one, it's a possible correction. But you can see how it did, indeed, from what we were talking about on Saturday, it chased that weekly D extension, especially with that news, right? So you always have to keep in mind you may have a fundamental catalyst, and that UK wage data pushed it straight up to that weekly D extension. So the question is, do we see some relief to the downside before hitting that where I've got that stop there, right? So first I was thinking I was gauging on this double top. That failed. It pushed right through it. The market open. So we never got a push down and a trend line break or anything. It pushed up, then it came down, and then it whipped. So we got whipsawed a bit on that. But on that longer term, that higher stop is still in play. But I want to see. I don't know what kind of momentum is going to get once the New York opens on that. So that one may hit the stop, it may not. If you're not in that, you're kind of waiting, continue to wait. Right? If you're using additional confirmations on that, continue to wait. And if you're in that, and you got your stop place wide, hey, that's when we might have to chalk up and just continues to push long off that wage data. So these are just to note some notes on it on that, but we've already covered that in regards to the impact that wage data can have on so that's where we are. So that one's still pushing along. We've hit a weekly D extension, which represents, the possibility that in the near term, we may see exhaustion and some type of correction on the pound Aussie. But overall, still long, right? Still long. We're just at a high price. We're looking for price to come down. That was the whole trade idea on the pound Aussie. Any questions on that? Reese, anybody else selling oil? Yeah, it hit that level, huh? It started to tail off. Did it? Got a new AB boundary on that oil. Did I'm not selling. I'm not selling it though. Nope, nope. I know Joy was holding long. Joy, you still holding long on oil? Good morning, Yasina. Thanks for joining us. You got control over your microphone in case you have any questions. All right.
Still holding strong.
Still holding strong. All right. All right. So we'll see. But we'll take a look at oil here shortly. All right. So that's the pound Aussie. Want to blaze through some of these pound pairs since we had that news this morning that pushed it. Our pound CAD still holding pretty strong to the long side. So we had this 1 hour setup here. That's been in play for a while. And we're still if I can get my chart here, it's just still moving bullish on that pound CAD, right? So out of that zone, right? What is that? 260 pips or so. So that one has a long way to go. Now, I mean, I guess that wage data is it's a record, right? Which the report said we are seeing contraction, right? Because we see 66,000 less job openings out of the UK, and the unemployment number missed forecast. So the data is a little bit mixed, but that the wage data is holding the heaviest weight out of that information because of inflation and because of it forces the BOE to potentially go another 25 basis points in September. And inflation continues to be an issue there. But if Reese just asked, is anybody selling oil? If we see a correction in that oil price, we've got Canada CPI coming out. If that comes through below forecast, that could lead for this pound CAD to continue to gain momentum to the upside. So we're breaking through that weekly level at 170, 145. Okay. And we've got quite a ways to go on that, but just kind of putting that narrative together in my head in regards to fundamentally what could continue to drive this long. So we'll see what that CPI data comes out, and we'll take a look at that oil price as well as it ran into resistance. Any questions on this pound CAD? Any you're holding too? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right, so let's continue to watch there, right? So we always have something in the pipeline running. We won't win them all, but when we look at risk to reward, things like that, we don't need to, right? I think Ryan posted this pound cat in the Discord. It had to be over a week ago, I think. So they swing. If we're swing trading, it takes a while for these trades to run. But they seem to be going in a positive direction, at least this pound cat. The pound Swissy isn't doing too much at all, right? Because we know the Swiss franc has been fairly strong. It's just been flat. So I haven't really paid too much attention to this pair. We're not getting really any type of movement. I need to just take these off. This is just moving straight across the screen. So nothing really doing on the pound Swiss. So I'm just gonna run right past that. That's a mess. Pound yen. Okay. Of course, we're running hot. All right. So we're coming into, this is the monthly chart. We found this a long time ago, right? That monthly fib running. And it is heading right to the extension. That is at like 186.73. That is high. Right? This price is just running. Okay, we can see it broke out of that range. Okay, and just moving. So it's chasing that monthly D extension. Higher time frame controls the lower time frames. So we've only got a 236 pullback on a daily, but we've broken that B boundary. So we could be headed to that monthly D extension, of course, but also that monthly resistance level at 188.65. So bottom line is we're moving bullish. And hey, maybe we tap. Where's that? There's a 1 hour. Okay. So do we get a correction? Right? I didn't even see that this had pushed up to that level. Strong bearish candle. So keep your eye on this one. Keep your eye on this one. So I've got this set up for a long if we get a correction, but this is now pushed up since I drew this setup this weekend. This is in that 80-20 zone. So hey, put some additional confirmation on it because we know the pound has gotten a boost and we still have New York open. But this is in that 80-20 area. So maybe we see a correction. All right. Trade small. That's a huge move if it moves to the downside. Okay. Put the stop at 150. Which pair, Carolyn? DJ. Okay. So we're sitting up high. This so watch that one because that pushed up pretty strong. That's a strong oh, okay. Put the stop on. Oh, gotcha. Thank you. Good catch. Appreciate it. Now I get it. All right. Thank you very much. So that's a longer term move because I'm still bullish against the yen. But we may get some corrective action there on the GJ. Some profit taking. So let's see what happens with that. All right, put that on your radar. Any questions on this GJ? Overall long, definitely headed right towards that monthly D extension. And that's that, right? Game continues. Right. And so 80-20 there. Pound New Zealand. Trying to run into all types of levels. That D extension was hit. Okay. It's a beautiful ABCD move. Still pushing long. Okay. Still pushing long. So we got to kind of try to find where we can get in where we fit in this pair. So on the 4, we've got a new AB boundary, right? Daily D extension hit, smaller wave on the 4, new AB boundary. Okay, this is pushing up right now. So you want to put this one on your radar, right? Not necessarily to do anything with right now, but hey, we've got a reset going on. Okay, we've got a higher time frame D extension that was hit. Can we at some point get a correction, possible 80-20 play, new low price for a buy? Because this is moving along pretty good. All right. That's that daily D extension. So continue to keep an eye on this pair as well. Love to see it push up in this zone here and stall out, right? That's the sweet spot. Kind of in no man's land right now, but continue to keep an eye on. Any questions on the pound New Zealand? Pretty clear cut. So, like I said, keep in mind we still have the rest of the market to open, New York. So just be patient with these setups. See what type of reaction we can get. Right, it's a new week. Let's see what happens. Pound dollar. This is just a weekly chart that we've got drawn up, and we can see it's pushing a little bit bullish. But you can see here how it's just right. We had talked about it before. Okay. This one's going to be quite interesting. We had talked about before, hey, maybe we get a possible head and shoulders on this one. All right, potentially something like that. Okay, didn't quite come back down to that support level, but maybe we push back up to that 128.48 level. Right, this has been quite an odd mover here. So here we are. This one's kind of looking like we talked about it, like some of the other dollar crosses, like the Euro USD. But this is here we go here, right? So you can see how we kind of stall in that same zone, and we got to push up. So we'll see if we can get some positive momentum, but it's going to take for that dollar to slow down a little bit to the upside. Like I said, it may, just like with that Euro USD, you never know, you might get trapped in the range. But I would love to see this continue to move up. That would be a beautiful play for us. 80-20 played out well on both the pound dollar and the euro dollar. And so I definitely see what you're talking about, Reese, how you got out. You decided to wait. Because after your short positions, it definitely moved sideways. For sure. So let's wait to see how it plays out. If this wants to push long, you've got plenty of time, right? Because that market will start making higher highs and higher lows. Okay. No rush. Right. I know we get anxious to trade, but when you're swing trading, the moves are so big when you finally get the opportunity that is worth the wait. So let's not take unnecessary chances in the market. All right. Because you can see, like with some of our pairs that are moving in our favor, they're big, right? They're big to where they totally engulf any losing trades that you have. So let's not, just jump in the fire for no reason. Continue to be patient. And that's a very, very tough part of trading, especially when you're swing trading. Now, if you're on the lower time frames and you're a scalper, that's something totally different. You can play around on the 5 minute and the 1 minute and find opportunities almost every day, right? But what we're covering right now, are swing trading positions. So there's a difference, a big difference. Okay. Any questions on this pound dollar?
Nope.
All right. All right. So wanna move in. I want to take a look at uh the Nasdaq. Uh, Here we go. And so this is a potential play here. Posted that in the Discord last night, right? So we're sitting at a key level, and we can see coming into the day that it's moving to the downside a bit, but it started to push up a little bit. Here we are on the uh, one. So just keeping an eye on this one to see how it plays out, if we could get momentum moving to the upside, which we did. Right, this needs to be adjusted. Right, like that. So we're not quite there yet. So you can see how we got that push up, and I'm interested to see if this eventually creates a higher low, creates a new support, and continues to move up. So not quite doing anything with it yet, but keep that one on your radar. Lower time frame price book the trend line hasn't done it on the higher time frame yet. Yeah, but it broke it, but we didn't get a strong close, right? We didn't get a strong close because the reason why this got adjusted is because it see how that pushed lower, right? And so we want to work through our lowest point in the trend. So you have to come over. So did we get an inner trend line break? Yes. Right. We did. Right. But now it's pulling back. This is just in regards to this daily. It just depends on what time frame you want to watch the break on, right? So it's really just a matter of your timing in the market, right? So if you like an earlier entry on a position, if you like an earlier entry on a position, then you may take a shot at a lower trend line on a lower time frame, right? So it's really, to me, it's just a matter of preference, right? Some people, hey, I want to see it break the daily trend line, then I'll start looking for entry positions off of pullbacks on a lower time frame. And some people are a little more aggressive, and they'll take a shot off of a lower time frame trend line break. So it's really just a um, it's really just a matter of of preference and how you like to enter trades. One of the 15,555 pips. You're talking about on this stop loss limit 100 loss pips. Yep. So you got yeah. So but you're looking at more. So it's measuring in pips. You got 10 pips to every point, right? So you're looking at a factor. You're looking at a factor of 10, right? But with that being said, this is how I drew it up, just because that's how I do it traditionally. But I'm not if I'm trading an indice, I'm looking to trade off of the lower time frame setup, and I'm most likely gonna put my stop below the seat. I don't keep it that wide on indice, Jeremy. Yeah, yeah. So I look to catch it. Look at you. Yeah, and yeah, that's just me. That's just me being. I always stick to things in my the way I go top down analysis in a traditional sense. That's just the overall move. I'm not a big enough player in the in the ball game for that. right? But it still puts you, yeah, it's crazy when you measure it out because it's looking at pips. It's, it's looking at pips on here. So yeah. But if the account size is large enough to make it playable off of a daily, I mean, it's just like any other currency, right? Any currency pair we look at, if if you're trading off the daily, that stop loss is going to be it's going to be wide, right? That's going to be if this was a pound dollar buy, that would be a wide stop loss. So you would be trading super small if you took that position off the daily and kept it below the A boundary. It's the same thing, right? Is it's large relative, but it's relative towards your account and what assets you're trading. So yeah. But yeah, that's why. But indices I trade a little bit. I trade a lot tighter. So yeah, good observation. Um, what else? Let me say this first before I move on into some of the other pairs I want to look at. Any pairs that you guys want to look at before I continue to go on about my way through these charts. There we go. All right. uh, we got a bunch of them again. So the first one was NZD CAD. Okay, so let's take a look at that. All right, so we can see that from the weekly chart, right? It's been moving down. Okay, oil's been strong. We know that New Zealand's commodity currency, we know has a strong relationship with China. China's economy hasn't been doing so well, right? There's been a lot of downside pressure on this pair. So it's just a matter of where we are. And if we're coming into an opportunity to where we're looking at a correction play potentially, or a high price for a further move down. So if we're running the fibs off that C, you can see where we are, right? We got a 61.8 pullback and it's been moving down ever since. We are at a key level. Okay, so we broke below 80.64, and you can see we're getting a little bit bullish there. So we'll see how that reflects as we move down through the charts. Okay. So we come in here, right, and you can see we are moving bearish, right? So off the 4-hour, we're targeting that D extension. Okay. And we come here where we had the crown on the 1-hour. So we are still moving bearish overall on the NZD CAD. Okay, still moving bearish. Answer that. Let me see. NZD CAD, JC. What you thinking on that, JC?
I'm in a sale, but I've been in it for like 2 weeks. So I'm just trying to figure out, am I doing something wrong?
You've been in
Well,
a
I'm
set
in
for
profit. I'm in profit, so it's just I don't know. Maybe it's maybe the patient that you just mentioned. So I just want
it,
to make
it,
sure.
it is.
Okay.
But you know what? But you know what? So you're in the right direction, right? And the thing
Yeah.
I like, the thing that I love about this group is, listen, like, it happens in stages. And the thing that I like about this group is we seem to be at the point where we're getting that direction right.
Hmm.
That's the key, right? So your entries could be horrible, because we still have FOMO and things like that, where it's like, man, I'm hit the 61.8 a week ago, and I know this is moving to the downside. I want to get involved. But when you get the direction right and if your risk management is good, you can have a horrible entry. And if that direction is right, eventually you're gonna move into profit. So once you start to get more consistent with your direction, then it's a matter of how you're gonna manage this trade. Now you're up. Now, depending on, the lot size you're trading at or the position, you know, hey, you could take some money off the table and leave a runner going, because sometimes that helps you with your psychology. It's like, man, I got to pull something off. At least I know, I'm adding to my account, or if you're in a position where you can't pull anything off, because of the lot size that you're using, then maybe it's, hey, I want to, if I'm in good profit, I want to move my stop down and above one of the highs. And if I get stopped out, hey, I've locked in some money, you know, uh, because they can get tough to hold these positions for long, you
Okay, thanks. I didn't. I
know.
I never thought about that too. Like if my lot size is too small, what to do? So thanks for that Jim.
Yeah, if your lot size is too small, like if you're trading at a micro, and it's like, man, I can't have that micro, you know, just maybe move your stop loss down. And then if it takes you out, it's like you have to be satisfied with the fact that, man, I got my direction right and I caught pips. It's like on to the next one. You know what I mean? Because sometimes that's what would get me is like I would just get so greedy. Like it was a point where it's like, oh, and these just move 5 more pips. And it's like, man, if you don't take this money off the table, you worry about 5 pips, your whole trade's gonna get blown up. You know what I mean? So if your psychology is if it's starting to bother you a lot, then secure it. Secure it if you're up really, really good. Or take a percentage off. Great question. Yeah. Yeah, learning more about mood swings. Yeah. Research job, big swinging. Reese, you trade on a 30 minute, right? On the 30 minute, if I remember correctly. Yeah. 30 minute, 1 hour. Yeah, yeah. So lower time frames, but I get the itch for it. I just don't because I actually love trading 5 minute charts and things like that. But I have to have the time for it. If I ever get consistent with having the time for it, we'll definitely be on some live sessions playing around on that 5 minute and that one because I like it. Uh, let's see when you first started. Hold for 2 weeks either. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Right? It's really tough if your risk management isn't under control. That's when it can give you a major headache. So anyway, let's move on to the uh that's right. Now money, lower time frames. So let's take a look at the what do we at Euro Swissy. So let's take a look at that. So we're still bouncing around, right? So we talked about this on Saturday, right? The potential for that to come back down and double bottom. So let's see what happens. I mean, we're at that point. Right? You got your risk management worked out. If you get stopped out, you lose a quarter, half, 1% of whatnot. Let's see if it's still within this AB boundary. Let's see if we can get that bounce and that push up. I'm looking for some relief on that Swissy at some. Man, it's been strong for a while. You know, hoping that we know that markets have went a bit risk off, which is you know is positive for the Swissy. Uh, but now that we've come right back to revisit this area, I mean, this is still in play. We haven't hit a stop, right? That's a wide stop. If you put your stop below the A here, you still haven't hit that stop. It's just doing its thing. It's just doing its thing. So let's just continue to wait on that. So that one is still in the ball game on our zero Swissy. We know it's been moving to the downside. We're looking for the correction. Okay, the correction to occur. Right? Is it kind of a tough one? It is. It is because of where we're at. Look at that on the daily. All right. So it's not my favorite one. Uh, but it's not. I mean, look at just the stochastic. You know, we could get that push up. What is that? 96.50. If we push back up to 96.50, what does that put us? Right here in the middle of that play. So then it would have to gain momentum. That's a tough one, but it's in the 80-20 zone, so we call it out. We call it out. All right. So any questions on that Euro Swiss? Even if you wanted to stay short, right, on the Euro Swiss, you still need a high price. So we needed to go in that upperly direction. All right. So that's that. Let's see. Let's see. We got the dollar CAD, ECAD, EA. Killer, I don't know if I have, I'm gonna put that PLRT, PLTR stock. I may not have a chance to do that on this session, but I can mark it up and maybe we can talk about it tomorrow on that one. Okay. So let's take a look at this dollar CAD, and then we'll look at the other ones, which I should have had that on my agenda anyway with the CAD and stuff. Right? So we are pushing long right into that 135.04. Right. So we retested that 133.86, just wicked out and kept moving, temporary. But we want to keep an eye. We've got U.S. data and Canadian data. But how I have it drawn up right now is that this is moving long. Right? So that we see that wick, right? When we saw it, hey, it wicked out. Here it is right here. Here's that pullback right into that sweet spot. And it's been pushing long. Okay. So let's continue to see what's going to happen with this one. This is giving me a new AB boundary on the one, but I had drugged that F4 hour down, but we'll eliminate it here. So this is where we are on the 1 hour. Okay. New AB boundary on the one, moving right into resistance. Kind of makes sense, right? But I really like that F4 hour. So let's see what happens. See what happens. So right now, pushing bullish out of the zone. This is going to come down to the data that comes out. See if we could break that 135.04. That would be nice. That's the direction I'm in right now for the dollar CAD. Any questions on the dollar CAD?
No.
All right. Let's take a look at the Euro CAD. Bullish, right? We drew that sub fib a while ago. And it's still pushing bullish, the stochastic in the sell zone, right? It's pushing bullish, but you can see how that's here, right? It's having some issues within this price. Okay. Moving bullish today. If we see oil continue to decline, see what happens with CAD CPI data. Right. We can break out. We can break out of that zone. So here we are on the four-hour. Right. This has been a long move. So you get the break and the retest of the range. It's been pushing up ever since. And now we're seeing, right, we're getting above that 147.46 level. And so what we need to do is see what's going to happen with this. So this was a temporary play that we were looking at, and we actually got it to come down to that 382. Broke trend line, came down to that 382 on that one. So that played out. And I'm going to leave it like this because I want to see what happens with that data that comes out for Canada and that CPI. So overall, I'm bullish. 80-20, right? Came down, boom. But now I want to see what's going to happen with this. We're going to turn over and push lower in this zone based on the data, or if it's just going to continue up and take this A out. So that correction played out pretty good to the downside. Coming back down for a decent retracement, almost 50%. Came right into that support zone. That's amazing. Came right down into that support zone. We didn't get a deep pullback and then a correction. kind of just headed to the downside. We didn't hit the D extension on the nose, but it's moving up right now. So overall bullish. We're just looking for a correction on the 1 hour, and we'll see what happens with the CAD data. Any questions on this? No? So what are we doing in this group, everybody? We're just trading waves. The market the market moves in waves. That's what we do. That's what we do. We just fall in line with the waves and what the market is doing. Keep things simple. Euro Oz, let's take a look at this. All right. So we know for the longest time, right? Marked it up a while ago. We've been moving bullish ever since. We're above 168.33. We know the Aussie has pressure. So as we're moving down through the charts, we're looking for up fibs because we're trying to move up to this 382. So it's just a matter. Are we in a CDD push or we're in a retracement? Okay, so here we are on a daily. Pushing long, stochastics in the sell zone. Pushing long off that 382. Okay. Here we are on the 4. New AB boundary. Stochastics in the buy zone. All right. Our stochastics are all mixed up, and this trade is bouncing in range. Okay. Here we are on, oh, I have to my trend line there. So this trade is ranging. This is taking me for a ride. Right? This Euro Aussie. Just trying to figure out what it wants to do. So you can see, right? We're just ranging. Right? Made a higher high, came down, and now we're right back in that zone up against that daily 169.19. So this is a correction play. Right? Overall bullish. We know from the higher time frames where we're headed. So we're just trying to figure out, right? Are we going to get that correction? So we got off to a decent start moving down, and then we took it back. But we're still stalling at this 169.19 daily level. So technically, yes, that's still in play. So overall bullish up retracement zone. Okay, this is not an area where I like to buy. This is an area where I like to have those kind of trend trade setups that pushes us to a lower price to buy an uptrend. So this is where we are. So this is kind of just doing the dance and ranging on the EA. We are. Yep, we are. Right. We're looking for a correction. Okay, we're looking for a correction on this to see if we can get it. Right. So it started to move short a couple of times, right? Took it back. 133, took it back. That dropped 188, took it back. Right. So depending on how you're managing your trade, you might have gotten stopped out in profit a couple times on that, depending on how you're moving that stop or how you're securing the bag on it. Right. So that comes down to trade management. But it's clearly ranging. It's trying to figure itself out. Is that a pretty high price? Doesn't want to go higher, or we're going to sell off, right? Some profit taking it lower to eventually move back, right? So that's pound Aussie, Euro Aussie. It's tough. Pound is strong. Euro isn't the weakest, currency in the basket. We know that the Aussie is weak, so we're just looking for a correction play on this, some profit taking to push price lower because it's sitting pretty high, right? So that's where that idea comes from. So you can see it's done it a couple times. It just we can't seem to keep the momentum to the downside on it. Yeah. And then of course, right, for our newer folks, if you are strictly a trend trader, then when we put these scenarios on the board, you are waiting for a low price, right? If you're a buyer, You're waiting for low prices. You're waiting for prices to come down to your 61.8, to your 786.86, and then you're looking to get long. You're waiting for price to come down to your 61.8, your 786.86, and get long. See? So if you're only looking to buy the Euro Aussie, then you're waiting for price to come down in your sweet spot. Everybody follow me on that, especially our newer folks. Drop me a 1 in the chat. Okay. I keep my eye on these 80-20 counter trend trades because even if I'm looking to get long, I need a low price, so I might as well take advantage of that correction to the downside. That's the way I think about it. But if you hold and wait for low prices to get long and trade with the trend, that's okay too. So when you see a setup come out, you're looking at it like, I'm not taking that short, right? It's very important to know that, right? Because we're not a we put out trade ideas. We don't just send out numbers, right? Buy here, sell here, take your profit here, stop loss here. We don't do that, right? It's hard for you to develop as a trader just taking signals. So we put the trade idea out. It's your job based on the training that we provide, right? And your own experience coming into the game is to look at that setup and say, no, I don't want to play that scenario. I'd rather play it the other way because the market moves up, down, and sideways. So if you've done your top-down analysis and you're saying, hey, the bulls are out, up is the trend, then you're just going to wait for this price to fall. Right? If you're playing the sweet spots. All right. Are there people who have trade strategies that will drop down to a 15-minute, 5-minute, and look to play a pullback like this? Right? Play a pullback and then look to get long because they saw this impulse leg take out some highs. Yeah, there's people who will do that. Right? Can you be successful doing that? Yeah. Right? If you're consistent and it's part of your trade plan, right? I just happen to take a larger view of the market, right? So that's not necessarily my thing, right? That's not my thing there. But for some people, it is. Okay. And they're consistent at that, and they document and they journal that, and they win. Right? So that part is totally up to all of you to make that determination. Me, I'm just looking at the bigger picture based on how I was trained. So I'm looking at this in its entirety, not so much this move here, or this move down there. That's not okay. Any questions on that? All right. So let's wrap things up and take a look at this oil price. Okay. So we can see, right? There's seasonality to things where you do get in the in the summer times and things like that, and things may not move as fast, but at the end of the day, it still moves in waves. The market still moves in waves, and that's what we want everybody to be, to focus in on. That. Yeah, you might not have as much volume and volatility and things like that during different parts of the year, but the market is still moving in waves. It may take it longer to move in an ABCD wave, but it'll do it. All right. So here's the 4-hour on oil. So we were talking about this high at 83.52. And you can see we came right into that D extension. And now we're getting a correction on oil. Okay, we had a very shallow retracement on that last fib. Market didn't even take back 32% and then accelerated. Right? The demand is high. Now we're correcting. Okay? Now you're correct. There may be some overall concerns on demand, right? China's the second largest economy in the world, so there may be some demand concerns. I have to read up on there. But at the end of the day, it's technicals and fundamentals. We're at 83.52. We hit an extension. We got a new AB boundary. Price is correcting, right? So let's look at crude oil. Tuesday, after losing 0.8% in the previous session, as investors continue to assess the impact of various demand and supply factors. Latest data showed retail sales, industrial production, and fixed asset investment in China. So I thought all came in below expectations, while urban unemployment rate ticked higher, weighing on the demand outlook in the world's top crude importer. Right. Meanwhile, China's central bank lowered a key lending rate on Tuesday to support the economy. Stimulus, right? The second reduction this year. Still, the U.S. oil benchmark remains up more than 20% since late June as OPEC majors, Saudi Arabia and Russia, curtailed supply. The International Energy Agency said their supply cuts are expected to erode oil inventories in the rest of the year, while adding that global crude demand could surge to a record 103 billion barrels a day. Okay. So we're in an up retracement zone. So we're still in the uptrend. Oil's just correct. Yeah. Oil's just correct. And that's how we ride the wave. That's how we combine technicals and fundamentals. What's the catalyst that's causing this correction? We just read about it. But long term, saying, hey, there's going to be increased demand, cuts in supply. So eventually, once we get a good discount, you may see buyers come back in and push right through that 83.52 level and break the range. All right. Eloy, no session this evening. Make sure you check your email, right? That Ryan sent out notification. No evening sessions, only morning sessions this week. All right. Any other questions on anything that we covered this morning, everybody? Great session. Great dialogue.
Actually, Benny, I got a question.
Sure.
So I pulled up the weekly petroleum status report.
The what?
Weekly petroleum status report.
Okay.
How do I? Hey, I'm trying to get deep in my studies.
I love it. I love it.
But the thing is, how do I comprehend? I mean, the outliers of the report. What should I be paying attention to? Because I noticed that it came out. It got like a 10:30 a.m. and then a 1 p.m. column for these PDFs, and it's not overwhelming. But it's like, is there anything particular that I should focus on?
Post it in the Discord. What you're gonna look at is output, right? Because they're talking about supply cuts, right? So you're looking at overall demand. What's the output coming out of these oil bearing areas, right? What's the output looking like? Is there an increase in output to help? Appreciate it. I'll take a look at it to help with the overall, to help support the overall demand. But if that output continues to decrease and demand goes up, that price is going to keep going, right? That price is going to keep going up. If that demand continues to increase, we see, right? We got a correction going on now as investors digest the data coming out of China, right? They're the number one oil importer. See what I mean? Yeah. So you got some concerns there, but overall, you see what they're saying. That's probably just going to be a temporary blip, because overall, globally, the demand is expected to surge, and you got OPEC, Saudi Arabia, talking about cutting supply, cutting output. See, and so we got to look at those U.S. numbers too,
Okay.
for output. But yeah, so it's just oil is cool to look at, because it's when you talk about basic supply demand economics, man, you see it play out there all the time. So, you know, I'll take a look at that report today. We can go back.
Okay, bet.
Break it down. All right. Good stuff though. I appreciate your effort. You are continuously evolving, a lot of you in this group, and it's awesome to see. All right. Any other questions before we log off, everybody? No? All right. Well, hey, appreciate. Oh, JC, what's up?
No, that was a mistake. My bad.
Oh. All right. Well, hey, you all have enjoyed the rest of your day. We'll be right back here tomorrow morning. Anything comes up fundamentally, technically, I'll make sure I get it posted in the Discord throughout the day. If you all see anything or you have any questions, hey, I've got that Discord on my phone, so don't hesitate to ask a question. All right, some of you do it all the time, and that's how we learn. That's how we compress time frames and shorten that learning curve. Everybody, have a great day.
Thank you.